feral children and feral people from history and around the world. Feral children and feral people stand as haunting reminders of what happens when the thread of human connection is severed, where language, kinship, and culture unravel, and the wilderness becomes both cradle and cage. Feral kids and historical figures. Famous feral kids. Victor of Aveyron, a nonverbal person who was partially rehabilitated, was discovered living in the woods in France in the 1800s. Born in 1867 in India, Dina Sanichar was raised by wolves and never learnt to speak. After being neglected, Oxana Malaya, Ukraine 1990s, continued to live with dogs and exhibit canine tendencies. After escaping violence, John Sabunya, Uganda 1990s, lived with monkeys before reintegrating into civilization. In the 1950s, Marcos Rodríguez Pantoja was born in Spain, tried to reintegrate into civilization after living with wolves for more than 10 years. Legends and historical feral people. European wild men of the Middle Ages, legends of hairy, cave-dwelling people wandering through woodlands, most likely influenced by misdiagnosed mental illness, hermits, or outcasts. Appalachian feral people legends, stories of untamed cave-dwelling people robbing children or animals, primarily folklore but connected to early accounts of solitary mountain households or hermits. Japanese hermits and yamabushi. The distinction between wild and spiritual was blurred because ascetic monks lived in seclusion in forests, although not being feral. Cases of lost or abandoned children in South American and African jungles, some are said to have survived among monkeys or other wildlife. What causes it? Cases of feral children or adults typically have 3 basic causes. 1. Neglect or abandonment. Children abandoned in the forest because of tragedy, poverty, or social stigma. Animals either adopt them or at least imitate them in order to survive. For instance, Oxana Malaya was reared with dogs due to her parents' neglect. 1. Trauma or isolation. Sometimes children who escape violence or conflict manage to survive on their own. John Sabunya, for instance, fled after seeing his father murder his mother. 1. Voluntary withdrawal and cultural outcasts. Some people have been excluded throughout history due to their differences, crimes, or disabilities. Others, monks, ascetics, hermits, opted for hermit lifestyles. These turned into myths about wild men or untamed tribes. Here's a deeper look at the backgrounds of each feral child case, how they came to be isolated, what shaped their feral behaviors, and the cultural or historical context surrounding their discovery. Detailed backgrounds of 10 feral child cases. 1. Marie-Angélique LeBlanc, France 1731. Background: believed to be a Native American girl from the Meskwaki tribe, sold into slavery and brought to France. Isolation: survived alone in forests for nearly a decade, living off raw birds and roots. Discovery: found near Sangy, France, speaking no known language. Cultural context: her story fascinated Enlightenment thinkers, seen as proof of human resilience and the noble savage myth. 1. Peter the Wild Boy, Germany, England, 1725. Background: found wandering in the woods near Hamelin, Germany. Isolation: likely had a genetic condition, Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, which may have led to abandonment. Discovery: brought to the court of King George I as a curiosity. Cultural context: became a symbol of nature versus nurture debates in early modern Europe. 1. Oxana Malaya, Ukraine, 1991. Background: born to alcoholic parents in Nova Blagoveshchenka. Isolation: at age 3, began living in a kennel with dogs, mimicked their behavior. Discovery: found at age 8, barking and walking on all fours. Cultural context: her case sparked debates on child neglect and post-Soviet social collapse. 1. Amala and Kamala, India, 1920s. Background: allegedly found in a wolf den near Midnapore. Isolation: claimed to have been raised by wolves, walked on all fours, nocturnal habits. Discovery: taken in by Reverend Singh, who documented their behavior. Cultural context: widely debated, some believe the case was fabricated to support missionary work. 1. Nungchaidi, India Myanmar border, 1974 to 2012. Background: disappeared during a storm at age 4 in a remote jungle region. Isolation: survived alone for 38 years, reportedly living in caves and eating forest plants. Discovery: found by villagers, reintroduced to family. Cultural context: her survival was seen as miraculous, sparked interest in indigenous resilience. 1. Prava, Bird Boy, Russia, 2008. Background: raised in a small apartment with birds, mother treated him as a pet. Isolation: no human interaction, mimicked bird sounds and flapped arms. Discovery: authorities intervened after neighbors reported strange behavior. Cultural context highlighted urban neglect and mental illness in post-Soviet Russia. One Chilean dog boy, Chile 2001. Background: abandoned in Santiago, lived with stray dogs. Isolation: learned to scavenge and communicate with dogs. Discovery: found malnourished and feral by social workers. Cultural context reflected urban poverty and child homelessness in Latin America. One Syrian gazelle boy, Syria 1946. Background: allegedly raised by gazelles in the desert. Isolation: ran on all fours, extremely fast, avoided human contact. Discovery: captured by soldiers, died in institution. Cultural context: cases disputed, may have been mythologized by colonial observers. One chicken boy, Fiji 1978. Background: confined to a chicken coop by abusive parents. Isolation: mimicked chickens, pecked at food, clucked. Discovery: rescued by authorities after neighbors intervened. Cultural context raised awareness of rural abuse and lack of oversight. One Borneo orangutan boy, Malaysia 2014. Background: found in jungle living among orangutans. Isolation: protected by primates, avoided humans. Discovery: rescued by conservationists. Cultural context blurred lines between myth and reality, sparked interest in human-animal bonds. Each case reflects not just biological survival, but the symbolic tension between civilization and wilderness, kinship and abandonment, language and silence. The reasons behind children's feral behavior. Usually, feral children are the result of extreme abuse or neglect, when parents or guardians neglect to give their children the necessities of life. Abandonment: being lost or abandoned in a remote urban area or wilderness. Displacement or trauma: migration, calamities, or war. Physical or mental disabilities can occasionally result in abandonment or social marginalization. Cultural or mythic misinterpretation: colonial or sensationalist narratives frequently influence the exaggerated or made-up nature of some incidents. What takes place after feral life results differ greatly. Some people who receive partial rehabilitation pick up fundamental social and language abilities. Permanent cognitive delays: a lack of early stimulation causes many people to experience lasting developmental problems. Institutionalization: frequently housed in mental health centers or assisted living homes. Some people become public spectacles due to media curiosity, which might impede their ability to recuperate. Symbolic transformation: some are mythologized and become cultural icons, such as Marie-Angélique. Reports of feral people in Appalachia. In the Appalachian Mountains, particularly the Smokies, there are many anecdotal stories and folklore of cannibalistic hill people or feral wild people that are frequently shared in forums or missing person mythology. According to one user, feral wild guys have been residing in these mountains since the 1930s or 1940s. They will kidnap children and livestock. Reddit: others vehemently contest these assertions as sensationalism or myths. There are only families that have settled there. There are no cannibals or feral people there. Many aspects of the culture are attributed to isolation. Reddit +1. These tales are still considered urban legends rather than verified facts. The Appalachian Mountains feral people. Appalachian reports make it difficult to distinguish between reality and folklore. Legends from the area, stories like tunnel dwellers and holler goblins, imply that there are secret societies in mines and caverns. Missing persons. There is conjecture regarding underground feral populations, as some attribute disappearances to distant cave systems. First-hand reports. Reddit users spoke of remote, uneducated families residing in off-grid houses or converted buses. Influence of the media. Movies like Deliverance and Wrong Turn have influenced public perception, occasionally misrepresenting the true remoteness of Appalachia. Cultural complexity. Rather than accurately describing actual wildness, some feral descriptions reflect poverty, linguistic isolation, or nonconformity. Folklore and historical sightings. 1. The Wild Man of North Carolina of 1877. Gold miners in North Carolina are said to have come upon a wild man with dark hair and a funnel-shaped skull in 1877. He took them to a cave full with animal bones, which suggested a savage living in seclusion deep within the mountains, according to local media at the time. Midnight Archives. One Wildman, Tennessee, 1871. In a widely read newspaper article from 1871, a hairy, 7-foot-tall beast with matted hair, burning red eyes, and terrifying battle screams was recounted. Residents of McNairy County, Tennessee's Appalachia bear were reportedly terrified by his threats to kidnap unaccompanied ladies and his ability to scale high fences. 1. Interactions in the early 20th century. A man called Luther C. Douglas claimed to have heard strange noises and seen a bearded, untamed figure in rags brandishing a club emerge from an ancient house in Flatwoods, West Virginia, in 1919. Shots were fired, and the figure fled. Local newspapers reported on the incident, with theories ranging from paranormal speculation to a homeless individual. 1929, Rivesville, WV. Locals reported seeing a strange, white, hairy creature that was 2 feet tall and resembled a dog with a bushy tail. According to another account, a 7-foot-tall, glossy black creature with long arms and crimson eyes has been spotted close to livestock malls. These tales mixed images of savage humans with cryptic wisdom. Cryptid overlaps and modern legends. Kentucky's hillbilly beast, like Bigfoot, this myth describes a huge humanoid beast that prowls eastern Kentucky. According to reports, it is 8 to 10 feet tall, quite hefty, makes menacing vocalizations, and frequently bangs on trees. Wikipedia. According to Cherokee legend, the Moon-Eyed People were small, white-skinned, and had poor daytime eyesight. According to some legend, before the Cherokee drove them out of Appalachia, they constructed pre-Columbian ruins there. Absences and rumors. In the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Dennis Martin, 1969, and several hikers, 1976, 1981, 2011, 12, disappeared. Although the majority of specialists point to wildlife and geographical risks as more likely causes, these disappearances are occasionally ascribed to feral people or wild men. Social media and community views. Skepticism of spectacular folklore is frequently emphasized by local reaction. There are no humanoid monster legends in the area. Many individuals are extremely eager to believe any absurdity they hear about this area. Reddit, everyone in my family resides here. They all chuckled and stated that people like to make things up on the internet. Only families that have lived here for generations. Reddit, nonetheless, there are still unsettling overtones in a few local memories. Livestock assaults and rumors of feral people around Hall Mountain in eastern Tennessee are described in a recent post that harks back to the 1950s. Crucial knowledge. Most of the time, feral children are not raised by animals in the romantic sense. Rather, they are left alone or abandoned and learn to survive by adapting. In contrast, feral adults are frequently mythologized as hermits or outcasts, causing history and folklore to get muddled.